Hello, welcome to the first class in our series of 3 beginners classes for Kundalini Yoga. So my hope for you from these classes is that you go away with enough information to feel really confident to visit any general Kundalini Yoga class, to be able to look online and Google your favourite Kriya or meditation and follow it from one of the many PDFs that are available online. Many hundreds and thousands of Kriyas and meditations that you can choose from in Kundalini Yoga that work every part of the physical body, the emotional bodies, the mental bodies, that work your nervous system, your glandular system, every organ, that work on the subconscious mind. It's an extremely transformational practice that you've arrived at today. So just take a moment to really appreciate yourself and your soul. Appreciate that you may have taken many lifetimes to arrive here today. And just let yourself know that throughout those lifetimes you must have achieved some real merit to be able to come across Kundalini Yoga in this lifetime. It has the power to unblock many obstacles on your journey to spirit, to remove much of the karma and samskaras that have been accumulated throughout your lifetimes. If it feels okay to do so, just close your eyes for a moment and visualize the journey you've taken to get here. If closing the eyes feels uncomfortable for any reason, maybe you've got contacts, if you're physically uncomfortable, maybe it's emotionally uncomfortable to close the eyes, then just looking down, gazing towards the ground. Eyes might just be 1/10 open, and just limit the amount of stimulation you're getting from your sense of sight. First thing that we're going to learn in today's class is about how to sit comfortably. So especially useful for when you start practicing longer meditations and you're sitting for long periods of time. It's really important that you're not putting too much stress on the knees and the hips. So if sitting on the floor is not available to you today, then it's absolutely fine to sit on a chair like my youngest son Joseph here. If you're sitting on a chair, please make sure that your feet can touch the floor. Use a block or cushion underneath if you can't get the soles of the feet flat on the floor. And that your thighs are parallel to the ground and your lower legs are perpendicular to the ground. You can just rest your palms on the thighs. And try not to use the back of the chair. So we get really used to sitting curled over into the back of the sofa whilst we're watching telly. We are huddled over a laptop or a keyboard. So try and have the spine free of the back of the chair. Sit up tall, sit on the bony parts of the bottom called the sits bones. And just let the spine extend up from that point. We're going to look this morning at something called divine alignment. So you want to line yourself up right for the journey you're going to take today. The journey which is to experience the highest self, the self that we would write with a capital S rather than a little s. If you do want to sit on the floor, if that's available to you this morning, then have one heel into the groin and place the other ankle directly in a line with that first ankle. You're going to need a cushion to sit on. So everybody, no matter how flexible your hips and your knees, are advised to use a cushion, even if it's just a thin one. This is the one I'm sitting on. It's best to have a proper meditation cushion if you can find one, because they're nice and padded and they don't collapse down like using an ordinary cushion. But if you do want to use an ordinary cushion, then try folding it up so that it's nice and firm. You can buy yourself some special meditation cushions, and they come in all different heights. How do you know which height you're going to need? Well, if your knees are up off the floor when you sit on the floor like this, you can measure the number of inches, centimetres, that distance, the distance of the knees to the floor. So if your knees are right up here, you're going to need a wide cushion. If it's just a little way, it might be just a couple of inches. And you'll know that you've got it right when your thighs are sloping away from the hips rather than back in towards the body. So sitting upon a cushion helps to turn the pelvis forwards and the knees to be able to relax away. And this is really important for the hips and the knees to be able to feel relaxed as you sit. So once you have your feet in the correct alignment, and sometimes it's helpful to just take the fleshy parts of the calves and fold them out of the way. Then concentrating on the very base of the spine. And let the vertebrae stack one on top of the other all the way along the length of the spine. And to feel like you're getting some space in between them. So the chin goes down an inch and back to the spine an inch, and feel the lengthening of the back of the neck and the crown of the head being able to float towards the ceiling, towards the heavens. And from here just roll the shoulders up towards the ears. Inhale and exhale as you let them go, rolling them down the back. And you feel like the neck becomes freer to extend, shoulders are away from the ears. Feel like the head is a helium balloon with the string just hanging down, being the spine. Very little weight on the buttocks. And this is true even if you're sat in a chair. A little weight on the sits bones. The whole of this pose is supported by the chin being in neck lock in Jalandhar band, and we'll look at the bandhas in next week's class more specifically. But just for now, just make sure that the chin is slightly down rather than up. When we want to disappear from our lives, when we don't want to stay present, we have the chin off up there somewhere. We're leaving the building. So bring yourself really here, focused. Feel like it brings the energy into the heart center. And in this position, you're ready to tune in. We call it tuning in. We might say, when are we never not tuned in to Source? Aren't we always? We're always spirit. We're spiritual beings here for a human experience, not human beings here for a spiritual experience. But this is a mantra that's going to really help connect you to your highest self, Kundalini Yoga is a householder's yoga. It's meant to be done by people in busy families. And so we have this mantra to connect us to what is not just the household, to connecting us to the soul journey that's got us here, that we're playing out with our friends and our family. For whatever karmic reason, we've come to learn something specific in this lifetime. So it's common as Kundalini energy rises throughout a Kundalini class to get some insights on that journey. Maybe you've been struggling with a problem for a while, and then after the class suddenly the answer pops into your head. There's all sorts of ways in which you can experience this esoteric thing of Kundalini energy rising. So some people will feel it as a physical sensation of heat travelling up the spine, or fizzy sensations, tingling sensations. Sometimes it's an emotional release that somebody will have in a class. As I've said, sometimes it's a mental clarity that comes in. Sometimes you have no idea anything's happened in a class, but you walk out of the class and somebody says to you, "Oh my goodness, your eyes are shiny today." You know, it's showing on the outside this internal work that you've done. So the first part of connecting to that work is to tune in. And if you have had the handouts that come with these videos, you'll have the written form of this mantra, Ong Namo Guru Dev Namo. This mantra translates as I bow to my highest self, I bow to the divine wisdom within. Namo is I bow. And this sound Ong, it's really three sounds. Similar to Om, which many of you will have chanted. Om has Ah, sounds to it. Om is often used in the celibate yogic practices. It's used in what is called the right hand path practice, where we're not trying to live in a household, we're not needing to make ends meet, we're not needing to make sure we have enough food on the table. Somebody else is looking after all that for us, and we've committed to a lifetime of prayer and meditation to help heal our communities and our planet. That's one path. The path of a Kundalini yogi is a householder's path. So we don't chant Om, because Om is the sound of unmanifested consciousness. So if you want to be poor, if you don't need to be manifesting your next meal, then chant Om. So rather than Om, we chant Ong. O-N-G is how the transliteration is written. So this N-G sound is made in the back of the throat. And the first sound is made with a really nice wide O mouth. And then it slightly goes into an sound. And we join that together and it sounds like this. So let's just practice this one sound. Manifested consciousness is how Om translates. You'll often see it written just O-N-G. Sometimes you'll see it written O''A'-N-G. When the transliteration is done, the A that doesn't have a little dot on the top of the A is more of an sound than an R or A, so it's not the same as in English. When it's written with a dot on the top, it makes an ah sound. So in this case, it's just the sound. So let's chant that and get into the vibration of this mantra. It's a mantra that starts to vibrate the back of the throat, the jaw, down into the chest, through the heart center, and down into the belly. And this follows the same pathway as a very important nerve in the body called the ventral nerve, ventral vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is the nerve that's primarily responsible for our feelings of connection in the ventral vagal system. It's also responsible for the sympathetic nervous system, which is about our fight and flight responses. And lower down the ladder of the vagal nerve, in the dorsal vagal nerve system, we've got our kind of freeze response. So when we're feeling very depressed, low, cut off from life, we're in the dorsal system. We're really trying to protect ourselves from something that feels very, very scary. And so with this practice of Kundalini Yoga, there's a lot of exercises that work on this vagus nerve in order to take us back up the ladder of the vagus nerve from this dorsal vagal where we're in fear. You know, we say a lot of the nerves of the dorsal vagal system lie in the belly. And we say, you know, we've got that gut feeling, or we've got butterflies in our stomach. We know this, you know, this is this feeling this nerve gives us. So we can take ourselves back up through the sympathetic system, which helps the heart to respond if we need to fight or to run away from something scary. That's a little bit of a step up from the dorsal vagal, because we feel more empowered. We feel like we've got some chance of helping ourselves to survive. But ideally, the place we all love to hang out is in the ventral vagal system. And the ventral system, the nerves go up into the eyes and the face. And so, you know, this is how we connect with others, with the crow's feet and the lines at the sides of the eyes and the mouth. So we're constantly actually looking out for these lines around the eyes. Is somebody smiling at us? Are they a safe person to be around? Are they someone we really want to connect with and have a juicy conversation with? So going back to Ong, this is a really powerful sound, because this sound is going to start vibrating this nerve and begin to get it into a stronger state of being. So no matter how rattled you've been in life, even in situations where people are struggling with PTSD, this is an amazing sound to chant to really begin to strengthen back up the nervous system. And there's really very few of us who haven't had our nervous systems affected by life, right? So really vibrate this sound. Feel the vibrations in the heart center. So we're just going to chant that one sound, and then we'll bring it together with the other sounds. So bring the hands to the heart center, and as you do this, close the heels of the hands first, and then let the hands slowly come together, thumbs together, and then let the heels of the thumbs press into the bony breastplate, and then stretching the thumbs back along the length of the heart, fingers pointing upwards. And let the thumbs disappear into the chest. This mudra, called prayer pose, brings the two hemispheres of the brain together. Left palm is operating the right hemisphere of the brain. Right palm is operating the left hemisphere of the brain. And vice versa. And so you're bringing yourself together to be more collected, more balanced. Closing the eyes if that's okay to do so, or just looking down towards the ground. And inhale, ready to begin to chant. sound go for as long as you can, and then inhale again. This breath, concentrating around the forehead and the crown of the head, and hear the sounds playing out there still. And then exhale, bring the hands down into the lap or on the knees. Just rest for a moment and hear that sound continuing. It's a very important part of any mantra, just to listen to the sound vibration that is being created by your chanting. And to move to the rest of this mantra, when a little few tips about the pronunciation. So this mantra and many of the mantras in Kundalini Yoga are taken from the Sikh sacred language Gurmukhi. Gur, Guru, and the Guru is broken into two sounds, Gu, which is dark, and Ru, which is light. So it's the teacher that transforms our darkness and brings it into the light. And then we've got the how it translates into English. It's written with the Guru Dev Namo. So Ong Namo Guru Dev Namo. And so as you chant these sounds, it's actually correct to put the tongue between at the top of the mouth, behind the teeth, as you chant the D and the N in Dev and Namo. So this is a different place to where we will put it in English. So we're using the Sikh language because Yogi Bhajan, who brought this practice to the West in 1969 himself, was a Sikh, but he used many different languages for the mantras. He borrowed mantras from Buddhism, from Christianity, as well as from Sikhism. He had some that were in English. Any sounds that made the right connection of the tongue to the roof of the mouth, because as we place the tongue in the mouth in different places, we connect to different parts of the brain, so different synapses get turned on. And this is the reason why chanting is so effective. It's really scientific. It's not just a kind of woo-woo thing to do, you know. Well, we can enjoy the woo-woo as well, but we have this really powerful scientific method for engaging with a higher level of consciousness. So the parts of the brain that the patterns the tongue will make on the roof of the mouth with these mantras that you're going to learn in this course are the same areas of the brain that if you were to do a brain scan of somebody in a deep state of meditation, these are the parts that will be lit up. So we are consciously using our vocal cords, our tongue, and to make a sound that's going to light up those parts of the brain. So as you chant, so we learned how to chant Om, Namo, the N, the tongue is at the back of the teeth, and Dev, again the tongue behind the teeth at the roof of the mouth, and again Namo, I bow. I'm going to chant this Usually it's chanted about 3 times. We're going to chant it 5 times today so you can get really into a practice. And in most classes you'll find that this mantra is also followed by Ad Guru Name, Jugad Guru Name, Sat Guru Name, Siddhi Guru Deve Name, which is the Mangala Chan mantra, and that is for creating a special space of protection and projection from the heart center. So we're not going to do that one today. We'll learn that one in the next class. Today we'll just concentrate on this Adi mantra. It's called the Adi mantra. Adi means primal or first. So this is the first mantra. It's the first one that we use in the class. Bringing the palms together. Stretching the thumbs back towards the heart. Sit up nice and tall. Let your crown be in the heavens. And your root connected to the earth, and feel the spine as a bridge between the two. Inhale deeply and exhale completely. And inhale to begin tuning in. Inhale deeply. And exhale and relax, and just listen to the sounds continuing through the mind. Notice any changes in the quality of thoughts and emotions. You can imagine if many hundreds of thoughts per second are travelling like this across, the mantra is coming and chopping them up. Just experience that, the stillness of the mind that comes from the chanting. And in this stillness, just become aware of the breath. This is the second thing we're going to learn in today's class after tuning in. Third thing, we've learned how to sit. We're doing tuning in, and then we're going to come to this long, deep yogic breath, the 3-part yogic breath, which is really fundamental to any yogic practice. Yoga means the union between your finite self and your infinite self. It translates, actually the word translates as yoke. So it's the yoke between your self with a small s and self with a capital S. And the breath is the link between these two. So we know the breath can be done unconsciously. It's an automatic thing that we do, thank goodness, so we don't need to be thinking about it all the time to survive. And this is when we're in our finite self. When we're in our conscious being, then we have full awareness of each breath. Just noticing at the moment the state of the breath without making any attempt to change it. Just be curious. Try not to be judgmental. We've done some chanting. What we had to do in order to be able to chant Om, we had to take a big deep breath in, right? So in the beginning was the word, but before the word there was a big deep breath. It's the most fundamental part of the practice. Just notice whether you're breathing through the mouth or the nose. Is the belly falling on the inhale or rising on the inhale? Tensions in the body do you experience as you focus in on the breath? We're going to begin to bring the breath in and out through the nostrils. So breathing in and out through the nose helps to warm the air, it humidifies the air and it filters the air via all the little nasal hairs, the cilia. And you can continue to breathe and locate your navel point. So the navel point is also, in some traditions, this is called Tang Tien, the Hara, the place where our physical centre of gravity lies, and it's about 1.5 inches below your belly button. So one way to locate this point is to lock down your little finger with your thumb and have the other 3 fingers extended. If you place your index finger on your belly button, then where your ring finger comes is the location of the navel point. As the yogis call it, the nabi. And then it's about 1 inch back towards the spine. The seers who can see auras say that it's about the size of a small bird's egg, usually blue-white in colour. So you might like to visualise that. And this is the key foundation stone for the breath. The navel point needs to be moving out as you breathe in and back towards the spine as you breathe out. So you can practice this long deep breath by sitting, or you might like to come up lying on your back like Joseph, and lying on your back can often help you to feel the muscles that are involved in making the breath. Please just note that if you've not done any pranayama, any breathing work much before, having an increase in oxygen to the brain might make you feel a little bit lightheaded. Lightheadedness is fine. If it becomes dizziness, please just ease off, do less, or stop for a moment. Dizziness is not enlightenment, so please don't just keep continuing thinking you're going to, have an amazing experience. You might just fall off your chair and damage yourself. So we're going to concentrate first on the abdominal breath. So feel into the navel point area as you lie or sit. And as you breathe in, continue to breathe in and out through the nostrils. Let the belly rise on the inhale and fall on the exhale. Eyes can be closed. As you cut out the visual stimulus, you can concentrate more deeply on your internal experience. And just feel what happens as you let the belly rise as you inhale through the nostrils, how the diaphragm, this huge band of muscle underneath the rib cage at the base of the lungs, actually has space to move down into the abdominal cavity, the thoracic cavity, where the lungs are situated, gets more space so that you can fill the lungs with more air. If your hand is placed over the belly, you'll be able to feel the belly rise as you inhale and fall back as you exhale. As you begin to deepen and slow the breath, you begin to activate the parasympathetic part of the vagal nerve. So we have a parasympathetic system that is meant to slow us down after we've been excited about something. And this part of the nervous system is really underused in our society. So this is the first experience for many of you to just begin to breathe consciously and allow the nervous system to kick in and do its job. Help to de-armor you any tensions in the body that have been accumulating. Get a chance to scrape off the rust. And as you release the tension, then vitality can come in. So this way of belly breathing is how a baby breathes. So babies are born, you see them as they lie on mum or dad, like letting the belly expand out as they naturally breathe in, breathing back to the spine. And then somewhere along the line we kind of get a sense of, oh, it's better to have like a slim waist, and we begin to, not want to allow ourselves just to take up that space. Maybe for women we have some idea from childhood that it's good. We begin to accumulate an idea that we need to look like Barbie doll. For men it might be Action Man with the chest out, and both of these mean we need to have a skinny waist, so we start sucking the belly in when we breathe. It's just like to all hang out. My American teacher said, like, have a big fat American belly. I think it was all countries have people with big fat bellies, but let yours be big and round and fat. And let your breath relax to pace and depth that feels okay for you. Keeping your attention at the navel point. And on the exhale, begin to slightly pull in the navel point gently towards the spine. Let the air all out from the lungs, and then pull in the navel point. Let it just come in and slightly up towards the spine on the last part of the exhale. Keep the chest relaxed as you do this. Just breathing just with the abdomen for now. And then we'll move into the second part of the three-part breath, which is the chest breath. We're going to use the area around the rib cage, so keep the abdomen and the diaphragm nice and still for now. And inhale, just using the rib cage, pushing the ribs out to the sides as you breathe in through the nose and back in as you breathe out. And you might want to place your hands on your ribs to the sides and feel them being pushed out by the breath. Abdomen stays still, diaphragm stays still, just go breathing into the chest. Using the intercostal muscles between the ribs for this breath. See if you can feel into that. And you might be able to feel that the bottom ribs, which are not attached to the sternum, they get called the floating ribs, can really float up and out. To really use this part of the breath to let the rib cage really expand out and continue up. An expansion out to the sides. Just practice one or two more of these breaths. And then we're going to come to the last part, the clavicular breath, all around the collarbone area and the very top of the lungs at the back of the shoulders. So for this one, contract the navel and the abs nice and tight so you can really feel this last part. You're not going to do this when you're breathing the whole 3 parts of the breath together, but just for now, just to feel into this collarbone breath. Contract the navel and the abs tight. Lift the chest without inhaling for now, and then slowly begin to inhale, expanding across the shoulders and the collarbone area. Just hold the navel and the abs tight and still. And as you keep the chest lifted as you exhale. We won't do too many of these to practice because really taking the air all the way up into this top part of the lungs can make you feel quite dizzy when you're just practicing it for the first time. So just relaxing that breath now, and we're going to start to bring the 3 parts together. So if you remember, we've got the belly coming out, rib cage coming out, and the air going all the way up into the collarbone. You might feel yourself being slightly lifted off the ground by the lungs filling up like a big balloon as you inhale. And as you exhale, let the breath leave the collarbone area. The rib cage comes in and the belly comes back to the spine, remembering to just tuck the navel point in and up on that very last part of the breath. And before you breathe in, let the belly begin to expand. So the first part of the breath is to relax the abdomen muscles, so you're not pushing against tight muscles with the lungs. This breath is available for you to practice absolutely everywhere. You can practice it washing up at the sink, driving in your car, filling your car up at the petrol station, waiting in a queue. Even more importantly, you can practice when your loved ones or your work colleagues are annoying you. Let the first go-to be this bringing the breath conscious. We need to begin to examine the habit to ignore the breath, or to treat the breath as if it's just a kind of tool for getting oxygen into the system. Let's think of it in broader terms than just respiration. The the breath and its movements are connected to all the emotions and thoughts that you're having. And if the attention wanders off, then just bring it back to the navel point. Watching with the mind, letting the mind watch the navel rise as you inhale and fall back to the spine as you exhale. And if you need a mantra to help you focus, it's another benefit of mantra is to help keep you focused in. You can use the mantra Sat on the inhale. Sat is spelled S-A-T, but it's an A without a little mark over it, so it's an Sat. Sat on the inhale, just mentally vibrating that sound, and Nam on the exhale. And let your whole being just be full of that sound vibration. Sat means truth. It can also be translated as everything that is. So on Sat you fill up the whole of your energy field, your physical field, your emotional field, your mental field with this sound Sat, everything that is. You could also say it's another word for God. If you understand God to be everything that is and not just a kind of character on a cloud somewhere with a big white beard. And Nam. Nam is name or identity. So your whole identity becomes like God. It's also a mantra that moves the Kundalini energy. So we know that there is a huge amount of preciousness in a name. It's a real treasure to have a name. This is how we know who we are. It's how we identify ourselves within our family. Often families and close friends have nicknames for each other. These become very precious. So how we're called is very important to us. So it's not that we have to denigrate that. We don't have to rubbish it and get rid of our name to become enlightened yogis who, this is a kind of spiritual bypassing of what we've come here for. We can embrace our name. You don't need to change your name to a Sikh name like I've chosen to do. Just embrace your identity fully, but also know that your true identity is Sat Nam. Anything you might say that you are, you might tell me that you're a mother, a father, a son, a daughter. You might tell me that you're gay, straight, black, white. All of these things are to be treasured and nurtured and enjoyed, be curious about and experience here. This is what we've come for. Just know as well there's a time when all of that is, you're going to let go of it and you will still be you. Keep breathing into the belly whilst you have this physical body to experience this breath, this one breath. know that you know. Can you rely on the next one coming? Do you know when you breathe in that the next exhale is definitely coming? How would it be to treat every single breath that we have as a possibility, not a given? We might chant Sat on the inhale and the Nam may never come. And you will still be you. So Kundalini Yoga, as we're practicing it right now, was brought in by Yogi Bhajan in 1969. He came from a Sikh family. In recent times, our community has been really having a big overhaul as some news about Yogi Bhajan's behaviours has come out about sexual abuse, as you may have heard. So these things are challenging, but actually for me that meant that we can embrace all of who we are and really begin to own the darkness, the shadow. It's hugely sad that people have suffered, young women have suffered at his hands. It's hugely sad that he has created, it really appears that he has created karma for himself. But we also have this real treasure and gift that he's given to us in this practice, to be able to be all of who we are, all of our light and all of our darkness, and then make really conscious choices of how to behave. And maybe his choices have been very lacking in consciousness. Who knows? With these masters have, who knows what God has planned for us. Let's try and be without judgment and just be with a lot of compassion for all the times that we mess up, in all the different ways we mess up, and keep breathing. And some of the benefits of this long deep rest. So Yogi Bhajan would have his students in the early days of bringing Kundalini Yoga to the West. He would have his students do this long deep breath for hours. So if you like, you can pause your video here and you can continue for as long as you like with this breath. Some of the benefits of this breath are you're cleansing the alveoli, the little alveoli in the lungs, removing toxins. So it can be a good idea to drink plenty of water. And keep drinking water for several hours after the class as well to flush out the toxins. You're stimulating endorphins in the system, the chemicals in the bloodstream which help fight depression. You're increasing your mental alertness and clarity, helping your memory, cleansing the blood. You're regulating the body's pH. So too acidic an environment can lead to cancers. And a balanced pH in the body helps the body to handle stress. So it's not like when you practice yoga, you're going to have no stress. Sometimes as you get along this journey, spirit really challenges you even more. So, give you some really big challenges. For example, the one I've just been talking about with what's happening in the Kundalini Yoga communities all around the world, with the news that Yogi Bhajan more likely than not took part in lots of sexual abuse and other very challenging things. So we know we need this ability to handle the stresses of life. And also germs are anaerobic, they don't like an oxygenated environment, so you know you're going to help fight off disease much more easily when you can breathe deeply like this. So then just relax the breath. Been lying or sitting for a while, so let's have a bit of a stretch. If you're sitting, you can stretch the legs out in front of you. We'll just go through a sequence that's really nice to know when you're doing any kind of yoga or meditation, that you can stretch out your knees and your hips. If you're sitting, you can flex your feet back towards the body and paddle your feet backwards and forwards. You can do this if you're lying down as well. You can take your feet a little wider and make some circles outwards, both feet going outwards, pointing the toes, make big circles as you can, and then go the other way. And then relax the feet and just let the feet drop from left to right, release the hips. This feels really good when you've been sitting for a long time. Okay, and then relax. And if you are lying down on the ground, you could do some cat stretches. So with cat stretches, you're going to let your arms come out to the sides, palms are facing down flat on the floor. You're going to leave one leg stretched out along the floor and bring the other foot over the knee of the leg that's outstretched. Bring it to the outside of the body, stretching that knee towards the floor. Try and leave the leg that's stretched out with the thigh pointing up towards the ceiling. There, you see you get more of a twist. And then you're going to look with your head out towards the opposite hand. So the hand that's away from the knee that's stretching over. And you can see how you create a nice twist, like you were wringing out a dirty rag of all its toxins, right? And then do the other side. Take a few deep breaths on each side. So bringing the knee as close to the ground as you can while still leaving the thigh pointing upwards on the leg that's outstretched. Point your toes. Point your fingers away. Let everything get a good stretch. Remember to breathe in to the belly as you breathe into that position. Okay. And if you're sitting and your legs are outstretched, you might want to pat down the legs to the outsides of the little toes, and then from the big toes up the insides of the thighs. Do that a couple of times. Waking up the legs. And then do some popcorn knees, bouncing the knees, and come up to sitting. If you're lying down, you can turn over onto your right hand side first. Just rest there for a moment. And then using your hands, pushing yourself up to sitting. We're going to come to sit on the heels. And if sitting on the heels is not comfortable for you, you might find that placing a cushion in between the heels and the bottom works for you a little better to make it feel easier. Or you, like Joseph, you can use a chair. And we're going to come into the Kriya. And so today's Kriya is Sat Kriya, which is for the entire nervous system and glandular system. and it helps raise energy from the base of the spine out through the crown of the head. And it has many advantages. It helps with your digestive system, so it can help with all kinds of digestive ailments. It helps to regulate your sexual energy. So we say this often mildly, it helps to regulate your sexual energy. This is really super important, because not just around sexual activity, which can be sometimes the ways we manipulate each other in the worst ways, as we've just been talking about, but also because your sexual activity is your creative energy. And if your creative energy isn't flowing, if your creative juices are not flowing, you're not going to be living your best life here. You might have forgotten even what your soul came here to achieve. So to begin to, with this Sat Kriya exercise, begin to draw the creative energy up through your system, let it be filtered with the heart energy, and then to come out into the world is going to really serve you. So this is, like I say, a very good practice to begin a foundation of Kundalini Yoga in your lives. So just do this exercise between 1 and 3 minutes a day to begin with. Start very, very slowly with it. It's an extremely powerful transformational exercise. So even for people who've been doing Kundalini Yoga for a while, even for teachers, it's not recommended to just jump into longer periods of practice, such as 11 minutes or 22 minutes or 31 minutes. All of these different periods of time have different outcomes, which I'll explain at another time. So we come to the Kriya. Usually a typical format of a Kundalini class, you'll begin with tuning in, Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Then there'll be some pranayama, some breath work, as we've just been doing. Then you might have some warm-ups for the Kriya. Today we're not going to do any warm-ups as such. You've been doing a lot of work with the muscles of the belly already, which is mostly what you're going to use in Sat Kriya. And we're only going to be practicing it for a couple of minutes. So if you're doing longer periods of time, make sure your shoulders are really warmed up, and always make sure that you give yourself double the length of time relaxing afterwards to really rest and absorb and integrate the effects of the exercise. So if today we're going to do 2 minutes of Sat Kriya, and we're going to have 4 minutes of relaxation. So you have to be able to think, if you were going to do, say, like maximum lengths of time of Sat Kriya, 31 minutes, you need to prepare yourself for a 62-minute relaxation afterwards. And lying still for 62 minutes on your back is really a challenging pose. So, this is also to bear in mind if you're doing longer periods of practice. Sat, as we've said, means truth or all that is. So we're going to use this mantra, Sat Nam, the truth is my identity. We've learnt how to locate the navel point 1.5 inches or so below the belly button, and 1 inch back towards the spine. And this is part you're going to be moving in and up towards the spine. So back in and up as you chant Sat. And you're going to chant out loud this time. And then on Nam, you're just going to relax the belly and chant Nam at the same time. So it looks like this. Sat, Nam, Sat, Nam, Sat, Nam, Sat, Nam. So remember that the T sound on Sat comes behind, you're making a dental sound behind the teeth. And on Nam, again, that dental N with the tongue right up behind the teeth at the roof of the mouth. And what this does for you is you'll feel as you chant it, as you begin to be more sensitive and aware of what's happening in your practice, you'll feel like a little hammer that's knocking, and it's literally knocking on the door of your consciousness, like a wake-up call. It'll be activating parts of the brain that help you to grow in awareness And they call Nam a Bij mantra. Bij means seed. So it's a seed mantra from which great things can grow. So just before we begin the Kriya, it's really nice to just take, before we begin any Kriya in Kundalini Yoga, it's good to take a moment just to make an intention for your practice. Some people will do this as they tune in at the beginning of the class, but it's nice to check back in with that intention before you begin the Kriya. Kriya translates as an action which has a specific effect. So in the specific effect of Sat Kriya is going to be to put you in touch with your truth. But really the Kriya is less about the actions you're making with your physical body. You brought yourself here, but maybe for some reason you feel like physically you can't really get your arms up there, or, because we're going to be raising our arms up above the head. Maybe you can't manage that today. Maybe you're just visualizing yourself. If you've got any shoulder injuries or neck injuries, it's absolutely fine to just visualize yourself doing this exercise. The really important thing is the intention that you bring to your practice. Okay. And your intention can be about your own individual journey, about your family or your community, or you can stretch your imagination around the whole of this planet that we're living on, which really needs your prayers at this time. So we have the mantra and the movement of the belly, and the next thing is to place the hands in the right mudra. So for ladies, you're going to have your right little finger on the bottom and interlace your fingers, and that should bring when you cross your thumbs, the left thumb is crossing over the right. So just run through that again. The right little finger goes on the bottom and you interlace your fingers. The left thumb comes over and the palms of the hands, heels of the hands are together. And then you're going to extend your index fingers up, join together. And then we're going to bring this mudra above the crown of the head. Arms stretched as straight as possible, hugging the sides of the head with the insides of the elbows. Okay, so for men, same mudra, but you're starting with the left little finger on the bottom and the right thumb crosses over the top. So left little finger goes to the bottom, interlace all the fingers, bring the palms together, cross the right thumb over left, and again extending the index fingers. And when you bring them over the crown of the head, this Jupiter finger, the fingers are all connected to different planets. The index finger is connected to Jupiter, big expansive planet of wisdom and knowledge in the yogic philosophy. So your Jupiter is going to connect with the heavens and bring in lots of wisdom. So as we begin to come into that mudra, it's really good to just rotate your arms so that your shoulder blades come together, so that the shoulders end up in the right place, and you'll feel that that allows the chin to be down slightly, neck is long. And we're just going to inhale the shoulders up towards the ears. And as you exhale, feel where the fingertips are now and leave them there as you let the shoulders relax. And feel how that lengthens the arms, lengthens the neck and the spine. Chest is lifted, chin is down an inch. Try and keep it there. There might be a tendency to bring it up as the exercise gets tougher. I'm going to start you off, and then you and Joseph can continue. So just let the breath take care of itself. You don't need to worry about the breath. We just inhale to begin. Sut, nam, 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 sut,
Nam Sut, Nam Sut, Nam
So
Sut.
you're continuing at this nice steady pace, about 8 to 10 Nam-nams per 10 seconds. So about 1 second or a little longer. 1 second per Sat-nam. Keep it nice and powerful. Use the navel point coming in as you chant Sat. Barely just relaxing on Nam. Eyes are closed. The eyes closed and rolled inwards and upwards towards the brow point at the root of the nose. Focus either at this point, known as third eye, or focusing on the navel point and the movement of the belly. Into 15 more seconds. And inhale. Inhale long and deep and stretch up with the fingers through the armpits. Squeeze and squeeze on your root lock, which is your inner sex organs and lower abs, up towards the navel point. Keep the chin down. And then squeeze all the muscles along the length of the spine like you're squeezing a tube of toothpaste. Squeeze, 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 squeeze all the way up to the fingertips. Exhale and relax. And we'll repeat this one more time. Keep the arms up if you can. Inhale. And squeeze all the muscles along the spine. Right from the base of the spine, up past the back, up to the fingertips. And exhale, and combing the fingers down through the aura, clearing any debris, anything in your life that's no longer serving you. Bringing the palms to the thighs, and meditate here. Just allowing that sound current to keep vibrating through your system. Sut Nam, Sut Nam, Sut Nam. So well done, you actually did a bit longer than 2 minutes there. We ended up with 3 minutes. So we're going to have nice long relaxation on your back. So coming into the pose that some people say is the hardest pose to master of all the yoga asanas, which is Savasana. And this is translates as corpse pose. So coming lying on your back. If your room is drafty or cold, please make sure you cover yourself with a blanket. Put on your jumpers and your socks. So you might find that you cool down quite quickly after a class, particularly if the class has been very energetic. You've got very sweaty and hot, you could find that you cool down very quickly. So make sure you're nice and warm enough and cozy. Kundalini Yoga is often practiced on a sheepskin so that we have some comfort for the spine when we lie on our backs, and also the sheepskin helps to insulate your individual electromagnetic field from the Earth's electromagnetic field, so it helps to sink into meditation deeper. It's not compulsory to have a sheepskin. You can use a wool blanket or an ordinary yoga mat. Make yourself nice and cozy. Stretch your legs out. Have your feet about hip width apart and let the feet flop open. And let your arms be by the sides. And the hands, palms facing up with the fingers gently curved, if you're okay for receiving. Or if not, you can place the palms facing down. Arms are a little away from the sides of the body so that the armpits are free. If the spine feels at all uncomfortable, you could just raise up onto your heels and the backs of the shoulders, curl the pelvis under and away from the spine, and then bring it gently back to the mat. And feel the spine lengthening. If there's any discomfort in the neck, just gently millimeter to one side and then the other. Turn the head from left to right and then bring it back down. And just feel along the spine to all the parts of the body that are in contact with the ground beneath you. The heels, the backs of the legs and the buttocks. The thoracic spine behind the heart, sinking, melting into the ground. The cervical vertebrae at the back of the neck, gently easing away from the ground. Back of the skull, melting, merging with the ground. Roll the eyes up towards the brow points. Let the eyeballs feel heavy. The eyelids heavy they feel, they may never open again. Watching with the mind, the belly rise on the inhale and sink back on the exhale. Each inhale, breathing in peace. Each exhale, breathing out fear. As the lungs expand on the inhale, feeling them lift you slightly from the ground, feeling the air element within, like a balloon that can carry you away. With each exhale, sinking back to the ground, becoming heavy, becoming one with the earth. And for the next few minutes, keeping this focus on the breath, and relax. Preparing for movement, not moving just yet. Breathing deeper, becoming aware of the space around you. And then wriggling the fingers and wriggling the toes. Making some circles with the wrists and the ankles. And relax. And bringing the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet together and rubbing them, awakening the 72,000 nerve endings, the strings, the nadis of the body. Massage vigorously. And relax. Wrapping the arms around the knees, hugging the knees into the chest. And begin to rock from left to right, leaving the head and the shoulders on the floor. Massaging out the lower spine, the adrenals and kidneys. And then come to stillness. Bring the nose between the knees. Put the knees in tighter. Begin to rock backwards and forwards along the length of the spine. If the core strength is not available for rocking all the way up to sitting and all the way back, the back of the shoulders, just do what you can, just a few inches is enough. If you can, rock all the way up to sitting and rock all the way back onto the shoulders, keeping the chin well tucked in. And rock a few times and then rock all the way up to sitting, closing the class. Or alternatively, you can turn over onto the right hand side, rest here for a moment. And then pushing yourself up to sitting. Come back onto your cushions, sitting in Sukhasana, easy pose. Straighten the spine. And bring the hands into prayer pose at the heart center as we began the class. Feel the pressure between the palms. And prepare to close the class. In the next class we'll be learning the Long Time Sunshine song, which is a blessing song that's often used to close a Kundalini Yoga class. Today we'll just concentrate on the 3 long sat nams that come at the end of every class. I'm going to be inhaling, and as you exhale, chanting a long sat for a count of 7, followed by a short nam for a count of 1 beat. So sat lasts for 7 beats, nam just for 1. And we repeat this 3 times. 3 is a magic number to really ingrain something into the psyche. As we close each class with this mantra, connecting to the meaning of this mantra, which is you. The truth is, you are all that is. You are ik, the oneness, the everything. And so we can take this practice out into the world. Recognize that we've been changed by the work we've put in the class today. And we can bring these positive changes to others in our lives too. Remembering that when we chant, we make patterns on the roof of our mouth with the tongue that connect to the hypothalamus in the brain, changing our brain waves, the state of our brain health. Inhale deeply. Exhale one more time, remembering that the belly comes in, navel point in and up at the end of this breath. Inhale, belly, rib cage, collarbone. Exhale, from the collarbone, ribs coming in, belly back to the spine. And an inhale to begin Satnams. Inhaling, the hands above the crown of the head and press the palms together. Stretch through the armpits. And as you exhale, bring divine light down through the crown chakra, peace to all. Through third eye, light to all. Through the throat center, truth to all. Through the heart center, love and compassion to all. Grounding through the lower centers, freedom from fear and security for all beings. Bowing the forehead to the floor in thanks for the teachings today. you, Satnam. So look forward to doing a second session with you, which is going to look at the bandhas, the 3 locks, gateways in the body that we use to move energy through the system and to keep the practice balanced and safe. And to look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, Satnam.